You're listening to KSTM 88.9, Indianola, Iowa, home of the Storm.
Hello and welcome back to A Dorm Divided. It's March 3rd, and we are enjoying this beautiful 60-degree day here at Iowa. Aaron and I are starting outdoor practice today. I couldn't be more excited. Warm weather makes it feel good, makes it feel like March Madness is coming up, because it is, and I could not be any more excited. I know we're going to talk some college hoops today, but first, how are you, Aaron?
I'm doing pretty good. Today it was beautiful outside. It was one of the days because I had to walk quite a ways all the way across campus. I usually cut through Kent, and I didn't today because I wanted to enjoy the weather. It was nice out this morning, and it's beautiful out right now. So this is great. Helps your mental health, releases some stress. It's a good day.
No wind makes playing tennis a little easier
Yep.
outside.
Yep.
But yeah, I couldn't be any more excited, and it is that time of the year where we're getting to the last week of Power 5 conferences, regular seasons. Mid-major conference championships are going to start this weekend, and then just like that, it'll be Power 5 conference championships, Selection Sunday, and then we're going to be right in the thick of March Madness, so it is coming up, and I couldn't be any more excited. And one person that is probably a little more excited than me is Aaron, just because his team is going to be competing in March, but I have found the last few years that I guess I've only watched one March Madness in like the last 9 years without Iowa State in it. And I found that when I watched it without Iowa State in it, it was actually kind of more fun because I wasn't just focused on one game the whole time. I was focused on all the others. So maybe that'll be a silver lining this year. But one team that's been playing well as of late is the Iowa Hawkeyes. They overcame a loss to Michigan by 22 points the other night and bounced back with a 16-point win in Columbus at Ohio State. It was a big win. What did you see out of your Hawkeyes in that game, Aaron?
So first half of Michigan, I watched the first half. I saw we didn't shoot particularly well. We didn't play particularly well on offense. And then they didn't play too hot either. But the second half of that game, I had to go to tennis practice, so I missed most of it. So, and I watched like the first maybe 8 minutes of the second half, and I could just tell they got hot out of the gate. And kind of when I was kind of glad I stopped watching, or I had to stop watching, because that game was we didn't play well at all. But then I was very surprised to see us bounce back like that against Ohio State at Ohio State. We played much better. Bench played well. I mean, that was kind of an all-out team effort game. Ohio State didn't shoot as well as they did the first time we played them. But we're in a really good spot. Essentially, we can control our own destiny where we are. We're in a really good spot to get a 2 seed. If we go far in the Big Ten championship, we could get a 1 seed. So I like our spot right now. I think we're in a good spot. We're off a big win. We got a favorable schedule this week, so it should be a week of you can't take the week off, but you got more favorable games, so you can relax just a little bit more. You don't have to stress as much. But yeah, I think I feel good.
Yeah, they looked really good in the win against Ohio State, just considering that they came into Carver and beat them the first time, got stupid hot down the stretch, knocked off. I guess it was kind of an upset, not really an upset. And then, sorry, that's the ESPN video playing. I had no idea what that was. Yeah, ESPN always does that where they automatically play the highlights when you pull up their website.
Oh, yeah.
So I was doing that. But anyways, yeah, Luka Garza had 24 points, 11 rebounds. Wieskamp had 19. Other than that, no one really, as far as points go, stood up. One thing that I'm noticing is Iowa only played 8 guys, which is new territory for Fran McCaffery. He's very known for playing like a 10, 11-man rotation. And I've always been a proponent, just play your best guys. You don't have to worry about getting the young guys in there to get them experience. They'll get their time eventually. So I think that's the smart move, just going with your top 8.
Yeah, especially with Nunji out now. Fran's always been a guy to play 9 or 10. He likes a lot of guys coming off the bench, but with him out, you don't really have anyone else with that much experience. Tony Perkins is a young guard freshman, but he gets in like every once in a while. If a guy's in foul trouble, he'll have to come in. But he's not ready for the situation to where, you're getting into the thick of things. And he's just not ready. Like Keegan Murray's been playing all year. He's also a true freshman, Murray is, but he's been playing all year, so he's kind of ready. And yeah, he's kind of used to it by now, or he should be. So you're kind of going to start seeing Garza get more minutes, Wieskamp get more minutes. I think you're going to see the starters get way more minutes than what they have been, and that's just how it's going to be unless people get in foul trouble. I don't think we're going to see a lot of the bench besides Murray. And then, yeah, that, and I agree with that, because if you're prepared for it, then especially with a veteran team. A lot of guys have been there for a while, so I like the way he's doing things right now.
Yeah, I think that's the way you have to go. And maybe he's finally learning from his past mistakes, where I remember they'd get into the Big Ten tournament. I think the one year would have been 2018 when they played Indiana, and he was playing bench guys with 5 minutes left, and it's kind of just common sense. Get your best guys in on the floor down the stretch, barring foul trouble.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, he's doing it. He's figuring out a little bit right now. So.
And I remember there was outcry a couple weeks ago, I think, against Illinois. What game did he sit Garza for? Or it was Indiana.
Yeah.
He sat Garza for like the last 12 minutes of the first half.
Yeah.
And I know that I tend to side with the idea of letting a senior play through foul trouble. Like, obviously, don't play them the whole game, but if your guy picks up 2, tell him to be careful, don't go for blocks, stuff like that. Maybe pull him for a couple minutes, but I don't think you can ever have your best player off the floor with just 2 fouls.
Yeah.
If it's 3 fouls, then you sit him and you don't put him back in until the second half. But I'm sure Fran will have to make some sort of, every coach has to make that decision at least at some point down the stretch of the season, whether it's him or Wieskamp or Frederick or Bohannon. One of those guys in March will get in foul trouble one game, and they'll have to make that decision.
Yep.
To the other side of the Big Ten, or I guess the same side, top of the standings, last night Illinois defeated Michigan 76-53 on the road without their arguably top player, Ao Dosunmu. Is that how you say it? I've never been able
think
to
it's
say it.
Dosunmu.
Dosunmu?
Yeah, Dosunmu.
It looks like Dosunmu, but
yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways, they won at Michigan. It was Michigan's first loss since
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota, like mid-January. So
yep.
I didn't see that coming. I flipped the game on just to check what the score was, and Illinois was up 18 points. And Illinois looked really, really good, and they've won 10 out of their last 11. They lost at Michigan State just 2 weeks ago, but that was their only loss in a game since they lost to Ohio State on January 16th. So Illinois only lost 1 in pretty much a month and a half stretch, with wins at Wisconsin, at Michigan. In the game last night, I'm pulling up the box score right now.
I don't think Michigan only made like 2 threes in that game. They shot really bad.
They only took 7.
Yeah.
They didn't
take many threes.
So that's a sign of really good closeouts,
Yeah.
sign of really good defense, and Brad Underwood's kind of known for that.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he brought that style to his one season at Oklahoma State before he left to go to Illinois. But Frazier for Illinois had 22 points, led all scorers. They pretty much held down all of Michigan's big guys. Hunter Dickinson only had 6 points. He shot 1 of 8 from the floor. Just an overall really impressive performance. And Illinois, essentially, I would say, locked themselves into a 1 seed. They do still have to play Ohio State in their last game of the season. But even then, it would have to be a pretty big loss to Ohio State, I think, for them to get knocked off of the 1 seed right now. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know, because I still think Iowa has a good chance if they win the Big Ten tournament. But yeah, I think if Illinois, if they win out regular season, win a couple games in the tournament, I think they've locked themselves in there as well. Especially, they've beat Iowa and Michigan, and they have a good chance. They control their own
I would say
destiny.
Gonzaga and Baylor are locks, and I think Michigan's still a lock too, like actual locks. And I think Illinois is easily the favorite right now for the 4th 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
But you lose to Ohio State, and then maybe get bounced early by a team like Purdue or something like that. Then you're looking at maybe sliding to 2. But if you win, I think 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, they're pretty locked in just out of I think sheer resume.
Yeah, they'll get a double bye, so they automatically will make the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
So make the Big Ten championship, and they'll get it for sure.
But yeah, they're arguably the hottest team in the country right now, outside of, I don't know if I want to count Gonzaga just because they've been hot all season. Baylor was on a 3-week COVID pause, came back, almost lost Iowa State, which was, I didn't see that coming. Then they did lose to Kansas. Kansas beat them down the stretch. And then last night they were struggling against West Virginia. Game went into OT and they pulled it out. So maybe that'll be the turning point for Baylor. But one thing that I noticed when watching that game was just the conditioning. It looked like they were pretty out of shape. They looked like they hadn't been working out a lot the last few weeks because most of the team was in quarantine. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch because I'll need to pull them up. They still have a lot of games to play before they even get into the Big 12 tournament, and then I would assume they make it to the Big 12 championship, which is an extra 3 games right there. So yeah, they have to play Oklahoma State and Texas Tech in the last 2 games of the regular season, both top 20 teams, probably 3 games, and then they're playing 6 games in a span of 2 weeks before even getting to March. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch. Maybe that could be a preview for a March Madness upset pick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's going to do it for our college basketball talk. I don't really have any other... I haven't really watched any other games outside of that last
I've just been
week or so.
Watching Iowa.
But yeah, Baylor... I guess it's worth noting Baylor dropped to 3.
Yep.
So the first time all season where it hasn't been Gonzaga and Baylor at 1 and 2. But it'll be interesting to see what happens next week after Michigan just got...
I think if Baylor wins their games this week, they'll go back to 2. I feel like that's kind of not really a question.
Yeah. And Baylor plays tomorrow and then again Monday.
Monday? Really? I thought all games were supposed to end on Sunday.
What day is the 7th? Oh, 7th is a Sunday.
Yeah,
Yep, you're right.
I think, yeah.
For some reason, I was thinking Monday was the 7th. But yeah, Baylor has 2 games left. Gonzaga, I'm sure, probably has 1 game. Because I think they play their conference tournament at the same time as the Power Fives do.
Mm-hmm. I think they do too. I know a lot of, like, the Atlantic 10 started today. A couple other mid-majors.
I think Missouri Valley starts tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, theirs is always a week early. I know that.
And Drake is on the bubble. I was looking at Joe Lunardi's last 4-in, and he has them as his first team in the last 4-in.
Yep,
so
I saw that. And then,
if they make it to the championship, I think they're a lock. But if they get bounced early, which actually seems to happen a lot. I remember it was, I want to say 2 seasons ago, or maybe last year, UNI, they weren't going to win the conference championship, but they were still like in, even if they didn't, but they got upset by Drake.
Yep, that was last year.
So you would think for Drake's sake, hopefully this year they don't get upset by a team like UNI or a team like Illinois State.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because Drake's without their 2 best players right now, so I don't know.
They were the storyline of Iowa all season long, but now they're kind of limping to the finish. So hopefully they can pull it off because it'd be cool to see.
I want to see that.
It'd be cool to see them in March Madness, even if they aren't healthy. Just looking at the top 25 right now, Oklahoma has been sliding of late. They've lost They lost back-to-back games to Oklahoma State this weekend. Oklahoma State is arguably up there in the hottest team in the country.
Yeah, they're playing well.
They went from unranked on the bubble to now in the top 15. Cade Cunningham is playing like the absolute star that he is. They've won 5 games in a row one of those was against Iowa State, the other was against K-State, but they've beat Texas Tech and Oklahoma twice, who Oklahoma was one of the hottest teams in the country up to that point. And Cade Cunningham is just tearing people apart, averaging 19.5 a game, shooting 41% from 3, 45 from the field, 6 rebounds, 3.5 assists. You think he's going to be on your Thunder next year?
If they get they got to get a top 3 pick. But yeah, that would be awesome if he was. I feel like he's definitely the front runner and the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft. So
from what it seems like, he's a lock.
Yeah.
From everything that I've heard.
Yeah, there's been like whispers of the Evan Mobley kid out of USC, and then Jalen Suggs too, and then there's a couple G League guys that skipped college and went to the G League out of high school. So, but yeah, right now for sure it's Cade Cunningham.
So Oklahoma State's actually technically suspended from the tournament. Did you know that?
The NCAA tournament?
Yeah. So they had recruiting violations 2 years back.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that.
Self-imposed a tournament ban for this year, but they appealed it. And the appeal hasn't happened yet, so while it's in the appeal, they can still technically play. So as of right now, they're going to be able to make the NCAA tournament, but if for some reason in the next week and a half, the NCAA turns around and gets the court to overrule it, then they won't be able to participate, which would not be fun at all.
No, that would be terrible.
March Madness is, obviously it's about the teams, but one of my favorite things is always to watch the one-and-done players.
Yeah.
Just because you get to see them against teams that they'll never play again. So Cade Cunningham in March would be awesome. But I think we are going to take a short break right now, and we're going to come back and talk about the NBA three-point contest and dunk contest contestants, and also the Boston Celtics. But until then, we are going to play a song called Flow With It by St. Paul and the Broken Bones. I don't think I've ever heard it, so it'll be interesting. Welcome back to A Dorm Divided on 88.9 KSTM The Storm. If you joined us for our first 15 minutes of college basketball talk, welcome back. If you're just tuning in, we are going to be talking about some NBA updates. The NBA just the other day, yesterday I believe, announced the NBA three-point contest for All-Star Weekend. It's a pretty good slate this year. We got Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, and Zach LaVine. See, that's one that stars never turn down because it's just shooting threes. There's no injury risk or anything like that. Just looking at the field, it's impossible to even predict a winner just because they're all the best three-point shooters in the world. But it's good to see Steph Curry back in it.
Yep.
It's been probably 2 years since he's been in there. Sucks that we can't see Klay Thompson again, but what's your initial reaction to that field? Is there anyone that you think got snubbed?
I don't know about snubbed. A couple of those guys in those I'd like to see in the dunk contest, like Donovan Mitchell and Zach LaVine. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I didn't even consider them three-point shooters, really.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like the guys like... Did Duncan Robinson make it?
Nope.
Yeah, so I like guys like him to make it.
I do too.
And Joe Harris made it, didn't he?
Nope.
Okay, then, well, Joe Harris too. I don't know. Usually, guys that specialize in three-pointers, I feel like should have a better shot at making it than guys who are averaging 25 points a game.
I agree with that. And Jaylen Brown,
yeah,
he's a good three-point shooter, but
they just wanted to put they just put big names in there. But by the looks of it, it should be Steph Curry should win it easily.
Yeah,
I feel like he's significantly better than those other guys.
Yeah, because there's not really, outside of maybe Devin Booker, there's not really someone on that list other than Curry that specializes in three-point shooting. Like when you go to NBA 2K and it's got like their player archetypes lined up, it'll say three-point specialist, and there's just not really that guy. So
yeah, and Jason Tatum has like a weird shot, like it's kind of a bit slower. So yeah, I don't know. Makes no sense.
I'm surprised they didn't put Bradley Beal in.
Yeah, exactly. There's one three-point shooter in the contest. I feel like who specializes in threes. All these other guys can like
Are good
score,
shooters.
are just good scorers in general. So I don't know.
Yeah. Overall, all of All-Star Weekend this year is just weird. And then they announced the dunk contest also, which I haven't seen anyone that's excited for it. It was Obi Toppin, the freshman from Dayton, plays for the Knicks. Cassius Stanley, the freshman out of Duke. What team is Stanley on again?
I don't know. I think it was the Wizards, but I have no idea.
I'll pull it up. Cassius Stanley plays for the Pacers.
Oh.
And then Anthony Simmons from the Trailblazers. He was a guy who came straight from high school. So I'd say Obi Toppin's easily the biggest name out of here, and he hasn't really done much in his rookie season with the Knicks. I don't know. It's not a fun slate.
Not one I'm looking forward to at all. So it's like the one that, gosh, I think it was 2 years ago when Hamidou Diallo won it from the Thunder. There's a couple good guys in there, but it was like, what the heck? Like, he doesn't even play. None of these three guys I don't even think play on their teams except for Toppin, who gets like very little minutes for the Knicks.
The NBA must have had a lot of people turned down.
That's what I was thinking. There's no way those guys were their top choices. I think they had to go to this. Okay, he's had two cool dunks. Let's throw him in there.
What do you think the NBA can do to get these guys to say yes to it again?
I don't know. Like, it's all about fans. So obviously the big part of it's like, I like the idea of getting younger players like they did, who are athletic and score. But there's a lot of people that can do that. You want to get like, I'm fine with younger players. Like when Zach LaVine did it for the Timberwolves, like he was young, and he was just kind of experiencing the NBA still. He was probably a second or third year in the NBA. And, like, that was an awesome dunk contest. Same with Aaron Gordon. Like, they both had just gotten in the NBA, I think. So you want to see guys like that do it, but now with injuries. So, like, I would like to see, like, Ja Morant do it, but he's not going to do it because, he's
been injury prone.
Yeah, and Zion's not going to do it because, he's already in the All-Star game and maybe doesn't want to be tired or doesn't want to have to, I don't know what his excuse would be, but, like, you can see guys like, I don't know, like maybe Dennis Smith Jr., throw him back in there. He have him show off his skill. He can jump. Gosh, I can't think of any other guys.
We're well past the age of the stars doing it.
Yeah,
like we're past Blake Griffin, Dwight Howard in his prime.
And I just don't think you're gonna see it either anymore. I think they just don't want to do it. They'd rather they do the 3-point contest like you said. Or, just participate in the All-Star game in general. So, I don't know.
It's a shame that we've never gotten to see LeBron James do it. Or Giannis.
Giannis. Paul George might be able to do it. Kawhi Leonard. All those stars, all the best players in the game can go do a really cool dunk.
Russell Westbrook.
Yes, Russell Westbrook would be insane. Him would have been awesome. And when he was younger, but now he doesn't really dunk it much anymore.
Yeah,
he just he's very, when you do with his athletic ability and his knees, I don't even know how hasn't really been injured yet. So, but yeah, I like seeing those young like 6'4" guards come in and just, because those are the cooler ones because they can do cooler tricks because they get higher off the ground. But I don't know, maybe we'll see that out of Simmons and Stanley.
Hopefully.
I hope so.
And one of the best dunk contests of all time was Derrick Jones Jr., his first time doing it. And everyone was like, who's this guy? And he came in and just blew everyone out of the water with his dunks. So maybe, just maybe, one of these guys will be like, wow, he's going to be in the next 5 dunk contests like someone like Derrick Jones Jr. But then again, it's also got the potential to be, like, I don't even remember the Hamidou Diallo one.
I know that Diallo was in it, and I think Dennis Smith Jr. was in it. There was a big guy in it that, like, kind of made no sense. I can't remember who it was on the top of my head.
But yeah, it's got the potential to be forgettable like that also.
Yeah.
Along with that, they will have the Rising Stars Challenge that weekend, which is first and second year players in the NBA. Team USA is Zion Williamson, Ja Morant, LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton, Tyler Harrow, DeAndre Hunter, Keldon Johnson, Michael Porter Jr., and James Wiseman. The world roster is Precious Achiuwa, Denny, I've never heard of this guy, Denny Avdija, Avia,
There you go.
Nickeil Alexander-Walker, RJ Barrett, Facu Campazzo from the Nuggets, Brandon Clark, Lou Dort, Rui Hachimura, Theo Maledon, and Michael Mulder. So
Yeah, that
one
world
team's
team.
clearly got the edge in this one.
Yeah, I don't. That's for sure. The last one was good. Well, not the last one. I think it would have been 2 times ago when Luka Doncic played in it for the World, and now the World doesn't really have many good players.
What would you think about the NBA bringing back the sophomores versus rookies game?
That would be pretty cool. Honestly,
I think
I always liked that one.
I think that's my favorite way to do it. I think it's, well, obviously the sophomores are going to have the advantage just because they're sophomores. They've been there before.
But like LaMelo Ball and Anthony Edwards and James Wiseman versus who are these 1 year?
Zion, Ja,
Yeah, Zion and Ja and RJ.
DeAndre Hunter.
Yeah, that'd be fair.
I think so, too.
They'll hold their own a little bit. Like LaMelo and Anthony Edwards are playing really well right now. Like they can. Tyrese Halliburton. I don't see a problem with it. I don't even know why they changed it. I don't even remember.
I think that'd be more fair than U.S. versus the world.
Especially this year. So
Yeah,
I mean, a couple years. Like I don't remember it last year, but 2 years ago was fun because there's Doncic and Trae Young, and who was the number 1 pick? Oh, DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah.
Marvin Bagley. So, but who knows?
Yeah, the world team's not good when Facu Campazzo makes
Exactly.
Because he's been fine for the Nuggets. He hasn't been anything too crazy, but compare him to MPJ, and they've had just completely different seasons, and they're on each respective teams. So that game will be fun, just for me to be able to watch Tyrese Halliburton. I love my boy from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and Iowa State, but Zion Williamson will be always exciting to watch. Ja Morant, so that should be it should still be a fun NBA weekend. But I hope. Do you remember what they did last year for the ending of the All-Star game?
Yes.
They did I'm trying to think of what it's called. The Elam ending. I hope they do that again this year.
That was a fun All-Star game.
That's the best way to do, I think, an All-Star game.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it cuts down all the free throws at the end of the game, or it cuts down all the fouling.
Yeah.
And it ends in an automatic buzzer beater, which is the best way to do a basketball game. Because they do that in the throwback tournament. Do you ever watch that during the summer?
No.
It's just like when alums of old teams put together teams.
The TBT
one?
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's how they do endings for the throwback tournament. So listeners, how it works is, I think once they hit 7, or no, it's a clock. And then once it gets like 5 minutes left, whatever the score is, the team that's up, it adds like 17. So if Iowa State's beating Iowa 68-64, it will, with 5 minutes left, it'll change to the first team to 85 wins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
So then it takes away like fouling to get the ball back, because free throws are obviously going to hurt you more than help you in that scenario. And they did that for the All-Star game last year, and I thought it worked very well.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that was fun.
I don't think I'd be a huge fan of them doing that for like actual games.
No.
Because
then every single game would be.
That just completely changes the way basketball's played. But for an All-Star game, I don't want to see. I think it was 2 years ago when we just saw like 190 to 160. Like that's just not fun. But when like last year, guys were getting on the ground, guys were like competing to win the game, and that makes it. And that's what's always made the MLB All-Star game the best, is because there's not really a way to just like stop caring in baseball.
Exactly.
Like you're not gonna get up there and just watch pitches go by. Like guys are gonna throw their hardest. Guys are gonna throw their best pitches so they can win. And other All-Star games just miss that, because the Pro Bowl, obviously no one wants to get hurt because they're playing football, so they'll loosely tackle or whatever. They won't really give their best. NBA, they just won't play defense. They'll just chuck up 3-pointers or try and get cool dunks. So ways to make those games competitive is the best way to do it.
I agree.
So up next we've got the Boston Celtics. They actually won, I believe, last night, but they are 18-17, which is good for fourth in the East somehow still. But
East is terrible.
But there's a clear top three in the East because there is the 76ers in first place, obviously, the Brooklyn Nets in second, and the Milwaukee Bucks. And then it just completely drops off. It drops off from there down to the Celtics, the Knicks, Raptors, Heat, Hornets. And the Celtics, I would say last year were in that top tier of teams.
Yep.
They've got one of the best duos in the league with one of the best young duos, I should say, with Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And they just haven't been good this year.
Yeah, you kind of see it. Brad Stevens has always been known for, since he's been with the Celtics, he hasn't really handled stars before. Like he had Kyrie, he had Isaiah Thomas for a year, but Isaiah Thomas I wouldn't consider a star. Like Brad Stevens kind of, you could say, made him into that. You see Brad Stevens thrive when he's having impound plays and having set plays, half court set plays, with all the guys like being able to score. Like you have multiple scorers, and you still have that on the Celtics, but you have more ball dominant players like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker. So you're seeing less of Brad Stevens kind of panicking and being like, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. Well, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are your two best players on your team, and you need to switch it over to maybe getting them into one-on-one, like calling a play to where they can get the ball one-on-one in the post. Because Jason Tatum loves backing down and then turn around like the Kobe turn around, fade away.
Yeah, he's very good at that.
Yeah, and Jaylen Brown is good off the dribble. He's good at a dribble pull-up, getting into the lane. He loves going to his right and getting into the middle of the paint. And then Kemba is just a very crafty player, very good ball handling, will shoot threes here and there. But when I watch the Celtics, I see a lot of like Brad Stevens almost calling out a play every single time, where you're getting different guys to score. Like you're running screens to get an open layup, you're running screens to get an open three. Well, once in a while you need to get a play where you can isolate Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker. And so I think some of this year is falling on him. I think it's on him a little bit. I wouldn't say he's in the hot seat, but I think he needs to figure it out a little bit. They don't have a very deep bench like they normally do, because now once they lost Hayward, now they've had to start Marcus Smart. Well, actually, I think they start Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson. They start two big guys.
Well, Smart's been hurt.
Oh.
But when Smart was healthy, he was starting.
Okay, so then yeah, and then you don't have a true six man. I think you see like Peyton Pritchard, who's a rookie out of Oregon, come off the bench, and Jeff Teague, and Grant Williams, and Semi Ojeleye or something. All these guys that are like, what the heck?
Carson Edwards too.
Yeah.
Grant Williams.
You just don't. These guys aren't good enough role players to get you to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're not good enough. You got to find other guys. So that's when you have to get your stars going particularly more. So, and he hasn't been doing that. He's always had his Boston Celtics teams have always been a balanced scoring team, whereas to this year you got three guys probably averaging 20, maybe a guy averaging 10, and then everyone else is below that.
Yeah,
so.
Tatum and Brown are pretty much both averaging 25. One's at 24.9, the other's at 24.8. And Kemba Walker's actually having very close to a career low.
Yeah, he's having a down year.
He's only averaging 18.5 points per game, which is his lowest since the 2014 season. So, I mean,
yeah. I don't know. I don't know. What I've seen is them. I don't even know what I've seen, honestly. It's just so unordinary to they need to play like the Nets almost. Like you have three good guys. Maybe, obviously Tatum, Brown, and Walker aren't as good as the Nets' big three, but you see Steve Nash getting just one-on-one looks with Kyrie, Harden, and Durant. Like, just have them doing themselves. That's how you're going to win games. But they're not doing that. Stevens isn't doing that with his big three. So
I'd put Jason Tatum in the category of like top 10, 15 guys to just go get a bucket.
yeah,
And that, I think when it gets to down the stretch, or really just in key moments of the game, I say like every third possession, you just need to do ISO ball with Jason Tatum. Find a play where you're having people back cutting and pick and roll, pick and pop, just to get Tatum moving, get him just any sliver of look at the basket. Just because as you said, Celtics are traditionally built on depth. Like back with those IT teams, Marcus Smart was the best sixth man in the league, or one of them. And behind him, they had other
like
really
Terry
good
Rozier.
players. Yeah, Terry
was starting to
Rozier.
come into his own.
I'm blanking on
Yeah, I
a
can't
lot of the
think
other
of any
players,
other
but they were
players, but-
always just. You could take Al Horford out, and you get to put another big man in. Enes Kanter, I know they had him for a while, and they just don't have that this year, where there is a significant drop off when you go to the bench. When that's not really Brad Stevens' style. So I agree with you. I think they're gonna have to figure that out, whether it's making a move at the trade deadline or just relying hopefully on Peyton Pritchard to develop, Carson Edwards to maybe come into his own a little bit more than he has. Robert Williams he's a pretty decent backup center, but that's expecting a lot out of three young guys on your bench, especially when Tristan Thompson's really the only veteran on the
Yep.
bench.
Yep, I agree.
Well, I think that's going to do it for today's episode of A Dorm Divided. We were going to talk a little Russell Wilson, but I think we can do that next week to see
Yep.
if anything develops. But he does want to go to our team, so that's got to be inspiring a little bit. He said he either wants to be a Cowboy, Bear,
Yeah, what
Raider, or
Saint?
Saint. Yeah.
That is, when if he requests a trade, that would I don't see how the Bears or really any of those teams just go all in. Maybe you can see it. You can see it a little less with the the Bears have the most like initiative. Like they need a quarterback more than those other three teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'd be willing to they got to go throw everything they can in there. I mean, you have maybe two untradeable guys, and that's about it. And you can just throw out whoever else and all the draft picks you want for him. I don't care.
Yeah, they would have to go all out, but
Yeah.
I think that'd be
It'd be
worth
worth
it to get
Yeah.
a top 3 quarterback in the league. But anyways, we want to wish you happy Wednesday. Enjoy the warm weather. We're going to go play some tennis soon, and I cannot wait to enjoy this fresh air. But as always, this is A Dorm Divided on 88.9 KSTM The Storm, and we want to thank you for tuning in.